The concept of this video is twofold. One, should you buy a new gun versus a used gun? And two, do you think the modern day guns of today, like the modern day Colts or the modern day Smiths, for example, match up to what the Colts and the Smiths of the 1980s were? The steel, I'll talk about revolvers, for instance. Let's talk about it. I haven't seen anyone else do this in a video. Welcome to weaponseducation.com. So let's start off with talking about a used gun versus a new gun. Right now, we've got prices going way up on new guns. Way up, even used guns. Everything's going up in price. But I'm seeing retail prices going up from the manufacturers, and I'm seeing price gouging going on in a big way at local gun shops across America, and I'm sure it's happening across the world. So, the question is, should you purchase a used gun? I say, heck yes, definitely. There's nothing wrong with buying a used gun. You know, just think about the car analogy. If you could buy a car that has 300,000 miles on it, yeah, that's a problem, because now you got to potentially replace the engine, the suspension, the transmission, the paint job, it's the interior, the upholstery. It's a big expense. But with a gun, there's not many parts. I mean, how many parts are to a Glock? Not too many. So we're going to talk about that, and we're also going to talk about what about the quality from the 80s compared to the quality of today in certain circumstances. And I want everyone's input on this. Let's start with, I have a lot of guns on the table. Tammy, please zoom down here at this perfect example of a gun that I would prefer to have from the 1980s compared to one of today. This is my first gun alongside a different one I purchased the same week. I'll talk about here momentarily. This is a Colt Delta Elite 1911. Now, this gun, brand new right now, was in my gun shop, and they're gouging people $2,200 for a brand new Delta Elite. And I personally do not believe it is the quality of this, it's a mid-80s to late 80s model Colt Delta Elite. I would prefer this. So you want to do your research when you buy a used gun. You want to do the obvious. You want to hold it in your hand if you're not buying it online, which we'll talk about briefly. You want to feel the slide. You want to make sure the trigger functions properly and the hammer is dropping properly. Things like that, but just common sense stuff. But generally speaking, you can always repair or restore a gun for not all that much money to make it brand new again. Now, all right, I spoke about that. Let's look at a modern day Colt. Now, this is a Colt Railgun. Here, let's look at this side here. Colt Railgun. Get a real good close look at that slide, Tammy. It's just gorgeous. Brand new. Okay, I bought this brand new in box in 2012. Modern day Colt. I love Colt. I love everything about the company. But I would actually prefer, and this is just my opinion, I would prefer a Colt 1911 from the 80s compared to a Colt brand new modern day 1911. Why? Maybe it's just me. I just think the steel back then, the quality control, the attention to detail was just a little bit better than it is today, generally speaking. So don't frown upon buying a used gun. Nothing wrong with this Colt Railgun. I love it. And you know, by the way, there's 100 million gun owners in America, and they're not like us where we shoot our guns regularly. You're going to find out, if you go to an estate sale, for instance, you're going to find guns with like hardly no rounds through them at all, in brand new, pristine condition that are 20, 30 years old. You're going to find some great buys out there, and I think that's the direction a lot of you, or us, myself, that's what I'm doing. I'm looking for some really good used gun buys. You know, if you want a pristine, brand new gun, yeah, the Kimber like this. If you want something like the stainless Pro Raptor 2, yeah, this is going to be pretty difficult to find this used because it's brand new to the market and to the industry. This is only a 3 or 4 year old design. But if you do find one of these used, great, go for it if the price is right. Because think of it, if someone's going to spend this much money on a 1911, they're about $1,400 new in box. Do you think they're going to really damage it and mess it up and scratch it up and put thousands and thousands of rounds through it haphazardly and destroy the gun? I doubt it. Someone who spends this much money on a gun, it's a pretty good bet that when you buy it used, it's been well kept. So I'm just talking what's coming to mind here as I look at each gun. You want to buy a used gun? How about a Glock? This is a Glock 27. I tell you, there's not many parts to a Glock. If you had to repair it, and if you can get it for half the cost of a brand new Glock, depending on where you live and what's going on, everyone's situation is different, I say go for the used. I'm just trying to save everyone some money right now. Here's a situation where I'm looking at a revolver. This was my first gun alongside with that Colt Delta Elite the same week. Now, of all the guns in my collection, and there's honestly about 150, and I'm going to tell you something here in a moment about some software I'm developing for an inventory for your gun collection. I want to bring that up to you in this video. But this Smith 686, which I got somewhere between, I don't know, 86 and 88, I would prefer this. Yes, it's got the firing pin on the hammer compared to a modern day 686, which is no big deal. But I just think the steel back then, like I said, maybe it's just me, I just think it was just slightly cutting edge a little bit better. Nothing wrong with the brand new Smith revolvers, of course, especially, now this is my favorite revolver in my collection. Brand new, very expensive, pricey, 44 Magnum. And this 44 Magnum from the Performance Center modern day is, this is pretty hard to beat. The Performance Center revolvers, yeah, they do stand up to the steel, in my opinion, to back in the 80s. So with Smith, I would, if, you know, you really wanted a really high-end revolver, you want to look at the Performance Center revolvers. Here's another gun, like if you're going to buy a 500 Magnum, which is doubtful, most human beings on the planet do not need one. I'm glad I purchased it because it's worth a lot more than what I paid for it. It's fun to shoot, relatively, kind of speaking, you know, 1 or 2 rounds through it. But anyone who purchased a 500 Magnum, I'll tell you right now, there's not a lot of rounds through it. For a couple of reasons. One, they're about $3 per round plus. 2, the recoil is just so ridiculous that no one can physically shoot 50, 60 rounds through this per trip to the range. It's almost impossible. You'd be hurting pretty bad. So when you're looking at super high, big caliber revolvers, like I have a Super Red Hawk Alaskan, which is really hard to find right now, brand new in box. You can find one of those used, or 500 Magnum used. Go for it. If you're buying online, you know what you want to look for is a seller that has a huge positive feedback, 99% or better, and that has sold thousands of guns, and you look at the reviews, you'll be comfortable knowing that you're getting a good quality gun. The best case scenario is if you're buying the gun in person from hopefully a friend or an acquaintance or at maybe a local gun show, and you can really touch the gun, feel it, feel the action, feel how tight the cylinder is on a revolver. Here's another gun that I would prefer to buy used than new. And this is a 50 AE Desert Eagle. Just some examples. I'm looking for everyone's input, whether you do it here on weaponseducation.com on the video. Don't forget we have weaponseducation.net, the gun forum, which is doing real well. There's almost 1,000 members now. So there's a lot of good chit-chat going on weaponseducation.net. But what I like about this Desert Eagle compared to the new Desert Eagles of today, this is Magnum research prior to being purchased by Car Arms. And can you see there on the slide where it says made in Israel? I would prefer this Desert Eagle, which is worth a lot of money now. It's got the better gold finish than the modern day Desert Eagles. from Car Arms. It's still Magnum Research, but Car Arms owns it, and they have this hideous rail on the top. You know, like I'm going to put a scope on this thing. No, I'm not. I'm not going to put a scope on the top of this gun. The thing's heavy enough. I can barely lift it at almost 5 pounds. So this is a gun that I'm very happy I purchased a long time ago. And if I was buying a 50 AE, I would look for one of these in lieu of a brand new one. Just some examples. Take a look up, and I want everyone's input on everything that's going on right now with the cost of brand new guns going up, the gouging at gun shops. They're killing us. We got the price of ammo we also have to deal with. But I don't think there's a problem with buying a used gun. Keep it in mind. And also keep this in mind. I want to put this in your ear because I always like to bring new stuff to the table, and I want this for myself. So I'm working with a super major software company, I should say, one of the biggest software companies in the world, developing a software program for inventory I want it for my gun collection. So I figured if we're going to develop this super high-end, high-tech software where it's got the images and a full description, serial number, so when you pass away, your spouse, for instance, Tammy, if I were, heaven forbid, to die tomorrow, what would you do with 150 guns? I mean, I have an Excel spreadsheet, but you'd be lost, right?
I would be a little, yes, I think I would.
Even with the Excel spreadsheet, which I train you and taught you. So with this new software, your loved ones, your beneficiaries can take it, and it's going to have detailed instructions on how to sell this, who to give this to, who to give this to, and I thought of everything, including what happens if the government wants to come confiscate your guns. I got little tricks in the software system and how to make everything disappear. That's another video. So just please throw in your comments. And there's 2 types of comments I'd like you to throw in. One, do you think, in some cases, the modern day guns of today, are they up to the standards of the guns of the 80s? In a lot of cases, I think the guns of the 80s are better. It's my opinion, in some cases. And 2, do you have a problem with buying a used gun? I say no. Do your research. Check it out. Try to save some money. Please throw in your comments below. Used gun, new gun, it's all good. Thank you. Please throw in your comments. Please subscribe. Please tell a friend. Bye.